Malnutrition, also known as undernutrition, occurs when a person is not getting enough food or not getting the right sort of food. According to the World Food Program, the body compensates for the lack of energy by slowing down its physical and mental activities. A hungry mind cannot concentrate, a hungry body does not take initiative, a hungry child loses all desire to play and study. Malnutrition puts the body at risk for diseases such as measles and diarrhea due to a weakened immune system. A third of the deaths under 5 are linked to malnutrition and complications. Nepal is stricken with malnutrition due to high food prices, frequent natural disasters, geographic isolation, and climate change. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, which updated the impact of natural hazards and disasters on agriculture and food security and nutrition in May of 2015, post-disaster needs assessments determined that the distribution of damage to crops, livestock, fisheries, forestries, irrigation, and other subsectors of agriculture, and 78 various disasters, a total of 25% of all damage due to natural disasters is in agriculture. The highest cause of damage and loss to crops was floods at 59.6%, storms 22.8%, droughts 15.1%, tsunamis 1.7%, earthquakes 0.7%, all measured between 2003 and 2013, which cost $13 billion US. During those same years, only 3.4% of all humanitarian aid went to agriculture. This document suggests that a focus on agriculture become a national goal. Early warning systems, farm technology, vulnerability assessments, and sustainable agricultural systems. An increase in the funds should go to agriculture, as well as departments and research institutions established to improve the situation of agriculture loss and damages due to natural disasters. In Nepal, about 70% of households engage in crop production, and recently it was recorded that there has been an overflow of people moving rural areas from mostly Kathmandu, and the greatest inflows have been from the most affected areas. Taking advantage of the dispersion of people due to the natural disasters occurring in Nepal and finding land for them to move to and farm would be beneficial. USAID in their 2012 Nepal Flood Recovery Program evaluation report recommended to have extensive regional focus on potential areas for agricultural growth so that the activities can create employment for marginalized households. Combining this recommendation and a focus on projected future needs, as we also recommended, we could improve the situation of Nepal's malnutrition. Due to the fact that malnutrition has many factors that exacerbate the problem, this is just the beginning, but maintaining a focus on the long-term needs of Nepal can start gaining independence and a better quality of life. There are 2 phases to our proposed solution for the factors of floods in Nepal.
The first of 2 steps involves floodplain zoning and land offers. Before we start the program, we need to advocate for funds and support from Nepalese government officials, local organizations, community members, NGOs, and donors. In the end, this will help fund the program and also help us propose the program to the Central Natural Disaster Relief Committee. This committee coordinates relief efforts with the committees at the regional, district, and local levels, formulates policy, hands out cash and goods from the Central Natural Disaster Aid Fund. Our goal is to reroute funds into our program and put our plan into the Natural Action Plan to mitigate flood disaster. With the support of the committee as well as multiple national and foreign funders, our program would be effective. In order to put together a proposal, we need data, and this is where the first step will begin. We will contact the Nepal Surveyors Association, which is the first government-registered surveyors organization in Nepal. They provide membership to any professional that obeys the professional ethics and code of conduct with 1 year of survey training. We can hire Nepalese surveyors to create 2 maps. The first is a hazard map containing at-risk areas that would experience the most damage from floods. The second is a map of arable, farmable land that is unoccupied and safer from flood damage. Once we have that data, we will begin accounting for how many people, livestock, supplies, etc. that would have to be moved and estimate costs. After that step, we begin training for community education meetings. Based on areas at risk, classes will be held for Nepalese communities and taught by Nepalese community members at various levels. Training includes the outline of the class, which explains the damage of the floods in these areas, as well as discussing the at-risk areas and point out the areas that were found to be safer from floods. Next, we offer the solution, which is the two-step program involving the floodplain zoning and the land offers, and then the second step, channelizing and reforestation. This class will be carried out by Nepalese that are willing to contribute and participate. Once volunteers coming from the government, businesses, community leaders, and professionals, and training has been completed, we will begin the meetings. Meetings will be held district to district based on the results of the map. We will follow the outline of the program and at the end propose the solution. The first step, which has been completed, floodplain zoning, found that so-and-so areas have the most damage. So-and-so areas have been found to be safer and arable to farm, and we propose to move communities to these areas to farm. They will be maintaining their payments to the government or to whoever they are making the payments to, but also there's incentives for paying to move them, to build new structures, and to get them settled so that they can be successful. At the end of the program, they have the option to return to their old land or remain where they are at. The government can sell whatever land is vacant. At the end of the meeting, a survey will be completed by those who attend to find out if they will be willing to move away from high-risk areas to reduce damage to crops and to allow step 2 to be completed and allow floodplains to become arable again. Based on the results, we will evaluate the consensus and whether more incentive is needed to move people away. All data, surveys, and letters of support will be gathered to create a proposal to the Central Natural Disaster Relief Committee and hopefully create a policy that institutes our program into the Nepalese disaster plan. When that happens, funds can be rerouted to the program, and we would have the support of the government to move farmers to new lands. Incentives for the government include more crops would be produced, decreasing the amount of food that has to be imported in, and they become more self-sufficient. Also, with better crop yield, farmers will be able to make payments on rent or lease their loans. They would also be selling land and earning income that would pay for the channelizing and the reforestation. The current Nepal National Action Plan includes a lot of needs assessments and risk assessments that need to be done, but a lack of action. We provide the plan and the action, and the committee can eventually allocate funds towards other factors that are crippling Nepal.
With the area of Nepal obviously being an area with many culture and language barriers, we've decided to discuss the different cultural barriers that we will come across with our program, but also the ways in which we will accomplish them. The first barrier that we will come across is language. Obviously none of us speak Nepali, but during the planning process of our program, we'll be able to visit Nepal and gain support from other people here in America where they can teach us the language and be our translators throughout this whole process. Another barrier that we will come across is getting approval, trust, and help from the people of Nepal along with our government. The country of Nepal is set up into 14 zones and 75 districts. There are ministers, national ministries, legislatures, House of Representatives, a prime minister, an executive branch, and a king and council of ministers. This is a lot of people that we are going to have to get along to go with us just with the government end. So we're going to have to work pretty hard to get through them. To combat that, we've decided to again visit the area of Nepal before we begin anything to see where we can really gain our support from. We will then begin with the different religions and ministers over the churches to gain approval, which will then begin our journey of getting approval from the government. The government in Nepal does have some issues, but they do rely on personal and family connections to get things done. Because of this, we'll have to get their families involved. In the end, our program will begin to become a whole country effort. The religion in Nepal is very diverse, but Hindu and Buddhist traditions are very popular. If I were in the shoes of the people of Nepal, the only way that I would begin to trust and listen to someone outside of my country is if they showed respect and understanding for my religion and cultural practices. This is what we plan to do, is to go in and show the people that we do understand what they believe, and then show them the importance of what we are trying to change. The people of Nepal have a love for the Himalayas and the valleys of Nepal, which is where we'll begin showing them different drawings, writings, and diagrams that will help them to see the problems that occur in these areas and in the areas of their agriculture, but what they can do to help. As I said, I'll be focusing on river channeling and the importance of forestation. Channeling means taking a river and creating a channel that allows for excess water during a flood to be moved from the crops and areas that can be damaged by a flood into an area that is safe for the excess water. This is like something where you would create a channel to a lake that either you created or a lake that's already there. For Nepal, we'll probably be using the lake, and we'll be using a channel to create that extra water in going to a lake. We will also be using dams, which are kind of like the Palisades Lake Dam. We'll create them in the rivers that have the most problems with being overflooded, and we'll be able to create them that will allow that extra water to stay in those barriers, and then after the flood we can let that water out gradually so there won't be any problems. We also wanted to focus on forestation, which will help with the excess water as well. This allows for the forest to drain the excess water into the root and the soils of the trees, which helps not as much be run off into the agriculture. This is kind of something that will take a little bit longer, but it will help in the long process. With all of the ideas that we've brought forth, we are going to require a lot of help. With our ideas, we don't need any approval, we need actual people to use their time and help to create our solutions. Within the culture of Nepal, the men perform the agricultural tasks while the women cook the food and take care of their families. Both men and women perform great laborious tasks, but with the help of genders, we will be able to accomplish our goal. For our program, we've decided to have the men help us accomplish the tasks of the agriculture, while the women will help us provide meals for the people of Nepal while our solutions are under works. As you've probably noticed, this is going to require quite a bit of funding. Despite our plan of holding fundraisers within our communities, we've also required some grants that will help us accomplish our goals. The grants that we've decided on are the International Research Experiences for Students, which is provided by the National Science Foundation. This is a $250,000 grant. And we've also decided on the Help Evaluation and Research Development Grant, which is provided by the Agency for International Development, and this is a $25 million grant. During the process of our planning our program, we really decided to focus on how we can really put ourselves in the shoes of the people of Nepal and truly show them that we care for them and want to benefit them. To do so, we are going to provide them meals, and we will also pay those who are involved using the grants and the things that we acquire. This way, the people of Nepal can truly see that we're trying to help them and not trying to change the way they live. Our program will take a long time to accomplish. We will have to go in, get approval, and then we will have to train the participants and then actually begin our solutions. With the ideas that are listed above, we believe that we will be able to accomplish our goals and gain the trust of our people. Our ultimate goal is to show the people of Nepal that we have come to help, but not to change the way that they live. We want them to trust us and be able to sustain these solutions without our help, which will take some time and patience. We are very excited for our program and are looking forward to working with the people of Nepal.
For our project, some things that we'll have to do is overcome cultural barriers. So a way to do that is to learn all about the Nepalese people and their background, their common norms, and even their language. To have a good communication and train the people, we need to do it in their language and have volunteers and the people who are helping know the language. And another reason for that is if you do know a person's language, then you can understand their culture better and have a greater love for them. Another way you can do that with the language is possibly learning a few phrases that they say that are common and they're more comfortable with. And then another way is everybody can learn by doing something, and everybody can see pretty much the same thing. So when teaching them, we'll tell them how to do that, but also mainly show them how to do that. Another main thing that we have to be a little bit more sensitive about is their government, and that we need them and the villagers to trust them. And the way to do that is to have a government official, or maybe multiple, be a part of the program and implementation of it, so that they can see our intentions, and if there's anything not right, they can tell us then. And another way of doing this is we can give them reports of things that are going on and everything, so they can also feel involved that way and not feel like they're in the dark. Another thing that we are making sure of with our program is that it would need to be sustainable. So we would show them how, again, to do it, and continue the work. We'll make sure that they understand how to do what we teach them, and teach people to be leaders so that they can keep doing that even when our program or people helping out might not be there. And then also, if they have somebody who's a part of the community teaching them, they really know the place best. They know the people, the culture, and the area, so it can be done still and even better with their help, and continue on even without, if we didn't have any funding. Then this can make the village self-reliant and the people, and this gives them a sense of ownership among a vision of how they can better improve their lives and do it themselves. It gives them control of how to help their family and their lives, so that it can be the best that they can, and just be self-reliant.